what's going on. So if you could do that, could you also please make sure your mobile phones are on silent? Would be very good. And please feel free to remove jackets should you wish to, because it's a very, very close evening tonight. So first off, welcome to my first cabinet meeting as leader of the Alliance Group. I'd like to move on to item 1, which is minutes of the previous meeting. Now, I note that we can really only note these minutes because actually none of us were officially there. I know 2 members were there, but not in an official capacity. So I would like your permission to note those minutes rather than agree them. All those? Okay.
Move, Leader.
Yeah, okay. All those agree? Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is declarations of interest, please. Is there anyone that would like to declare an interest? Councillor Paul Fuller. Are there any other declarations? Councillor Ian Stevens.
Thank you, Chair. I happen to have a bus pass, so I'm going to declare that because that could well be counted as a pecuniary interest. Thank you.
No. Yeah, Councillor Fuller, when you speak, can you put the... I know we can all hear you, but it needs to be picked up online. Sorry, thank you. Okay, so we move on to item number 3, which is public question time. We do have a written question, and I would hand over to Councillor Julie Jones-Evans, who's going to read the question out and respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. So the written question is from Mr. Paul Coulisson to the Leader. Is the Cabinet yet in a position to review the status of its decision 77-2020/21 of 11th of March 2021 in relation to Dinosaur Isle, with officers due to report back on options relating to the invitation to tender (ITT), following the joint report to that meeting of the former Cabinet Member for Resources and the former Cabinet Member for Regeneration and Business Development? The response is, officers are in the process of advising Cabinet members, that's myself and Councillor Jonathan Bacon, in the new administration, the Alliance administration, on a range of issues, and we are not yet in a position to review the status of the previous decision referred to in the question. The Cabinet is aware of the public interest in the future of Dinosaur Isle and will carefully consider all the options available in informing the next steps with the project as soon as possible. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Julie. Are there any other public questions? Cameron.
Thank you, Leader. In regards to Ride Arena, could the Council please provide an update if there's been any movement in regards to that? As you'll be aware, back in February, the Council didn't go through the legal action against AEW, and recently Bob Seeley has spoken in Parliament. I was wondering if you could please provide an update.
Chairman, if I may, we'll provide a written response if that's okay, because it is quite complicated and needs to be set out very succinctly, but happy to do that before the end of the week.
Thank you.
Any more public questions? No? Okay. So we move on to item number 4 on the report, which is the Chairman's announcement. Well, I think you'll be sadly disappointed. I'm not really going to say too much other than to say I've been in back-to-back meetings continuously, and I'm still trying to read about 9,000 documents that have been coming through from various organisations across the whole of Hampshire, not just the Isle of Wight. The one thing I will say, we have been successful with the Welcome Back Fund. This wasn't quite as straightforward as we thought. And we did, as with normal government funding, had to jump through hoops backwards and inside out. but we have been successful, and town and parishes will be notified shortly, but it's basically for money to help with things like extra toilet cleaning, extra bin emptying, all of that sort of stuff that will mean that we can open up for business, which is what it says, the Welcome Back Fund. So I'm quite pleased about that. Something else that did come up that I thought I should mention, the levelling up, this money from government. A letter goes to government tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, Friday, sorry, on Friday, where we are trying to give us a full support behind the MP in trying to get money from government on the levelling up. We are level 2, not level 1, so we don't know how that's going to work out. Also, just to let you all know, because this was news to me from the BBC, the new variant, this Delta variant that's running around, you only actually get a sore throat and a runny nose. And that means that you can be actually full of contamination. So please be very wary. There are the free tests from the pharmacies. So please get those tests and check yourself, because you could be contaminating people you don't know. And really, that's it until I really get my feet and start getting to a few more meetings. That's it. And just actually to say thanks to all the staff that have had to continue in a very uncertain period in between, you know, prior to the election period, but they carried on regardless. And thanks to my new cabinet, who are absolutely superb, and actually the whole Alliance group, who are amazing. So that's it. I'm going to move on to item number 5, which is the National Bus Strategy. So that comes under you, Councillor Jordan. Did you want to speak and say anything about it?
Well, thank you, Leader. And if I'm not mistaken, this is probably the first piece of policy that our administration is going to bring forward. So I'm rather proud to be bringing it in this way. Let's hope that we, in the course of our administration, we bring lots more positive policies. And this is a positive policy. I won't speak too much about it, Leader, because to some extent this has been directed by government. We are under tight timescales, but essentially what we need to do is enter into an enhanced partnership with our bus provider, and we need to notify the Department for Transport before the 30th of June, which is why in a sense this meeting is dealing with this tonight. So we need to do that. What follows from that is there are two key dates. By the end of October this year, 2021, we will need to deliver a bus strategy improvement plan, and by March 2022 we will need to have an enhancement plan in place. I can tell you that we have received £100,000 to assist financially with that, and Hampshire are already working on the plans for us to take us forward. They're working on their own plan and commissioning with us to deliver our plan for us. Leader, there's not much else to explain about it at this stage, other than to say we need to approve it, and I'll ask for a seconder and a vote on it. Thank you.
Okay, could I have a seconder? Is that you, Councillor Paul Fuller? Yeah, okay. All those in favour of that, thank you. Please show. So thank you very much for that, Councillor Jordan. So we move on now to item number 7, which is the consideration and the decision of the report of the local government.
Sorry, Chairman, point of order. I think we are on item 6 now.
Oh, sorry, I missed the local outbreak board. You're quite right. Where are you when I need you? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, thank you for that, Councillor Andre. So item number 6 is the appointment of a cabinet committee who dealt actually with the local outbreak engagement board. This was a group that was set up during and because of the pandemic. It is my intention to still continue with that board at this moment in time, and Councillor Carl Love, myself, Deputy Ian and Councillor Debbie Andre will be the 4 councillors responsible and answerable to that. I do intend to cancel the meeting on the 29th unless there is some urgent decision to be made. I'd far rather that my cabinet members were doing vital work to do with that than sat in a meeting not doing much. So yes, so I will cancel the meeting on the 29th unless an urgent decision is needed. But thank you to those cabinet members that have put themselves forward. Thank you. Okay, so we do move on to item number 7 now, which is Councillor Andre, which is the consideration of and the decision on the report of the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman. Councillor Andre.
Thank you, Leader. Well, councillors and to some extent members of the public will be aware that I have recently picked this up, having taken up this post as part of the New Alliance administration. I can confirm that I have discussed the matter fully with my Director of Service, and I'm confident, as evidenced in the report that has been circulated, if members haven't had sight of that, it will be sent to all councillors, that all the recommendations that the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman recommended have been actioned, including the delivery of relevant training of staff within the timescales stipulated. And I can assure that I will be keeping a watchful eye on these issues. Before I move to the recommendations, I would like to bring in my Director of Service, Steve Crocker, because I think he may have some points to add to this. Thank you.
Thank you, and I can see Steve Crocker at the back there, so Steve.
Thank you, Leader. Just to confirm Councillor Andre's points that we haven't put in place all of the actions, and especially this relates to a really complex finding at a special education needs tribunal, and the Local Government Ombudsman has ruled that we've erred. I think it's really important that we accept that we learn from it, and then we put those things in place. There's no point quibbling. As I say, we've put in place that additional training. Members can be assured, though, that we did have an Ofsted inspection of our special educational needs service very recently, actually. In fact, it was the last full Ofsted report that they produced before lockdown, and that was May last year it was published, and it's available to the public. And that was very positive about our special educational needs service. So it is an aberration, but and we're very sorry for that, but it is important that we accept the findings.
Okay, thank you. So move on, please. Could you read the recommendations? Councillor Jonathan Bacon.
Thank you, Leader. I hesitate slightly to comment, but feel I need to. I saw I think it was on the White this afternoon, a report about this matter, and I think it must have been the parent who was involved, who I haven't got the direct quote, but he said essentially no one goes through the Ombudsman just for their own individual case, and they hope it will bring about change. That's why they put the hours of work in, and for a case to be taken down this route and get to this stage, his words were, it may be the tip of the iceberg. I'm hoping it's not that bad, but I do have concerns, Leader, because in the short time I've been a councillor again, I've been approached by two residents to my ward, raising concerns not dissimilar to this. Obviously, I'm not going to discuss those, but I do have a concern that there may have been some problems in recent years. I'm raising that with officers. I'm very pleased to note what the Cabinet member has said, and I trust her to pick that up and deal with anything that is found. But I just think we need to be careful to ensure that we look at things and ensure that all is as it should be, and hopefully the examination that she and I will do will reassure us. But if we do find things, we must deal with them. And as I say, I'm just a little concerned, so I just wanted to say that in this meeting.
Thank you very much. Could you please read the recommendations? Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Ian Stevens, sorry.
If we're going to get a report to all the councillors, then I would recommend that we also make sure that the media also get a copy of that report. that will allow for good reporting and an understanding of the subject matter. And I think that that's very important indeed, especially as Councillor Bacon has mentioned other concerns. So thank you.
The report is actually on the local government website already. Anyway, Councillor Andre, for the third time,
I can
please read
confirm.
his recommendations.
Thank you, Leader. I can confirm that the report is in the public domain and is widely available. But if anybody doesn't have a copy and would like one, then we can supply that. To the recommendations, I would draw my Cabinet's attention and everyone else's to page 40 of our papers. The recommendations are set out 29, 30 and 31, and I shall read them now. Two sets of recommendations. I'll come on to the second set shortly. That the Cabinet considers the LGSCO report and the response from Children's Services. Option A, there were two options proposed, and in regard of option A, that the Cabinet adopts the report from the Director of Children's Services as the Cabinet Section 5A brackets 8 report, and endorses the response from Children's Services in that report to address the findings and to implement all the recommendations of the LGSCO. And that the Cabinet notes that all members of the local authority and the monitoring officer, as already agreed, will be provided with a copy of the Cabinet's prepared Section 5A brackets 8 report as soon as practicable, if not already given a copy. Would you like me to move on to the second recommendation?
No, if we could just take that recommendation first, and all those in favour of that recommendation, please.
I look for a seconder.
Oh, do we need a seconder? Seconder, Jonathan. Okay, all those in favour? If you could read the second recommendation, please.
Thank you, Leader. The second recommendation could be found on page 43. It is recommended that the Cabinet consider the LGSCO report and the Council's response with regards to the actions undertaken and planned actions to be completed within the timescales stipulated, and as I have confirmed, these actions have already been completed within the timescales stipulated. So again, I look for a seconder.
Okay, seconder. Councillor Bacon. All those in favour, please. Okay, so we move on to item number 8 on the agenda, which is Cabinet member announcements. There are a number of councillors that are going to make just very, very brief statements, and the first one is Councillor Julie Jones-Evans.
Thank you, Leader. As you can appreciate, it's been a busy few weeks getting to know my portfolio in the detail that one needs to in order to move things forward. But I'm just going to touch on two this evening, if I may, because there's a lot to say otherwise. So the first issue we've been working on, in fact, I had a breakfast meeting this morning, is working with officers, Visit Isle of Wight, and with training providers to address the evident staffing shortage in the tourism and hospitality sector. This is a nationwide issue, but particularly on the spotlight on the island at the moment. There's a range of factors, Brexit, COVID, of course, or the late season started. There's a structural perception of the industry, there being because of long hours and split shifts, all that sort of thing. So there has been a shift in some people's perceptions of the industry. But we've got some short-term actions and some long-term actions as well. Short-term actions going to be job fairs, including using number 33 High Street. There's going to be some free short courses for people to go on to just upskill themselves quickly. And we're also promoting opportunities for older people because that's actually, they've got a lot of life experience and they may have previously worked in this sector. So we're not just encouraging young people, but older people as well too. And there's plenty of opportunities, about 150 jobs at the moment on isleofwightjobs.com. And then we're looking at some medium and long term, the Island Skills Plan, and that will be coming to Cabinet for consideration shortly. So we're on that one. Secondly, as you did mention, the Levelling Up Fund, if I may just give a few more details to that. Levelling Up Fund is going on Friday, as you said, Leader, and it's comprised of a £7 million package of projects seeking to reinstate East Cowes as the focus for the marine industry on the island. There's been renovation of the famous Columbine building to bring more spaces online, creating jobs, including improved marine side infrastructure, enabling a wider range of refit work. There's been renovation of the historic barracks building and a transformational public realm project at the beginning of the Esplanade, including a dramatic new harbour viewing platform to attract more visitors. This will be providing more jobs and training and improving the public amenity. Our proposal will help level up East Cowes and, of course, being a major gateway, the rest of the island and the wider Solent region and the UK economy. So we wish that application going on Friday Godspeed and best of luck.
Okay, Councillor Andre, you wish to say something? Thank you.
I do, Leader. It would be very remiss of me if I didn't mention the decision to halt the closure of Chillerton and Rookley. And I would like to say how disappointed I was that I was denied the opportunity to actually inform parents of my decision to keep the school open for admissions prior to it being leaked to the media. So I will take measures in future to make sure that the parents are actually informed in an appropriate manner. I can confirm that I am working with staff to draw up a paper with a range of options that will go out for prior consultation with parents before it comes to this Cabinet. I'd also just like to mention that due to the Queen's Jubilee, the term times for 21-22 are going to have to be amended slightly, but I am mindful that families will already have made some arrangements, and just to reassure them that it shouldn't actually prejudice any of those arrangements, but also that I have asked staff to revisit the term times for 22-23, and I think that is due to come to this Cabinet next month in July. Thank you.
That's super. Thank you very much. Councillor Bacon, you wish to speak.
Thank you, Leader. Just a couple of points. Firstly, we heard the answer on Dinosaur Isle earlier. It was a holding answer of necessity, but I think Councillor Jones-Evans and I both agree it's a very pressing issue. And when we say we're going to look into it, we're actually getting on with it as a matter of urgency. And I just think it's worth saying that to the public because there's a lot of interest out there. Just looking at the waste part of my portfolio, members of the public will probably remember there was talk of a fly tipping task and finish group sometime before the election. That's something I'm very keen to see dealt with. It seems that the group was mentioned in name only and nothing done. So I'm bringing that group together to deal with that issue because, again, I know it is a concern for residents and the environment. And in a similar vein, I've tasked officers with coming up with a programme and actions to deal with litter in our tourist areas this summer. We are going to have a very busy summer on this island. It's staycation time. We've seen that already, particularly in the May bank holiday. So I'm very conscious that litter will be an issue, and I want to make sure that we do everything we can to make it as a small a problem as possible. Lastly, I'm just going to mention that we are working hard to bring forward the climate change strategy and action plan. There's no point having a strategy without an action plan, and that hopefully will be coming forward for decisions soon on adoption, because I want to make sure that the environment and sustainability is going to be a keystone of the work of this council. So that will be a first big step in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Councillor Cole-Love.
Thank you, Leader. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Carol Tozer and her team for the work that they've put into trying to get me up to speed in the recent weeks. And also, I think it's really important to say something about the wonderful job that our island carers have been doing, both in the voluntary sector and in-house as well. I mean, one would also want to include, you know, the key workers across the island, adult social care and public health, who've done a terrific job during this pandemic. So obviously, you know, it was disappointing that we were extended again by another 4 weeks in terms of being able to come completely out of all the lockdown various measures. But a key message is to all of those people who are visiting our island, and the island is very much open for business and tourism, and we want you to come. But I just ask you, please, before you arrive on our island, take a test. Be sure that you're not bringing that virus to our island, and to support the people that are living here. So on the second point I want to make is I'm delighted that Councillor Ian Stevens has come in to help me with the portfolio and taking on the social care housing element of the project. It was clear from the beginning that this was a huge job. Too big for one person to be able to do a really good job, and I'm hoping that your steady, long history of being a councillor will bring some benefits to the team as we move forward. And the final thing to really say is that it's clearly very early days for me in the work that I'm doing, and I'm taking a very deep dive into the financials matters that affect the whole department right across public health, housing and adult social care. And I'm grateful for Councillor Chris Jarman supporting that, without whom I would be really struggling. And of course, again, the team from within adult social care particularly is helping me understand those figures, and I think I've got a meeting tomorrow to have a look at that. So it's a big challenge, it's a big issue, and no big decisions about anything at this point. Steady pair of hands, move forward positively, making sure that whatever we do is evidence-based, inclusive, transparent, so that everybody can see. That's the one thing that I will try to be, as inclusive and as transparent as I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Love. That's super. Two other members have indicated, so you weren't the last. Councillor Phil Jordan.
Thank you, Leader. I'll be very brief. It struck me that members should know, and probably do know, existing members, new members may not, that there is a speed review being undertaken. And I'm being asked by individual members and members of the public to consider specific 20-mile-an-hour zones. And this is just to say that we will not be doing its specific 20-mile-an-hour zones until we've carried out the strategic review of speed across the island. That's for all of the members in the chamber tonight, for all of the elected members, and for members of the public, so that there's this expectation that we will look at, each member believes their village or their town is the most important. That's what they're elected for. We understand that. But that until the review is complete, probably towards the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year, we won't be making decisions on specific 20-mile-an-hour zones. Thank you, Leader.
And finally, Councillor Chris Jarman.
Thank you, Leader. And finally, it won't be a secret that the finances of the Isle of Wight Council have been stressed for some time, and there's no doubt that COVID has brought additional challenges. The past weeks have been spent familiarising myself with our accounting and processes and questioning our existing financial plan, sources of revenue and debt. They've also been spent supporting my fellow Cabinet members, understanding their financial statuses within their respective portfolios. Now, we as the Alliance are committed to openness and transparency, and that won't simply be in each of the individual portfolios, but has to include our financial status going forwards. Key to our successful regeneration on the Isle of Wight, the wellness of our residents and the viability of our business will be driving inbound incremental revenue and investments.
Okay, thank you. Is that it? Thank you. Switch your microphone off. Thank you, Councillor Jack. Okay, so we move on now to consideration of the forward plan. I know Councillor Fuller wishes to speak.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Trying to save the best to last, of course. We haven't got anything on the Island Council forward plan at the moment. In the last few weeks, I've been talking to officers about accelerating the Island plan. We have the planning white paper going through at the moment. I have been talking to the MP and I have been talking to other members of the council about proposals, and hopefully I am looking to start the consultation following the cabinet paper that we hope will be issued for July the 15th. So that will give us, we have a statutory 6 weeks to consult on, but that will give us the whole of the summer break and July, and when the paper goes before the cabinet as well. So we have nearly sort of like 3 months of consultation that we can have. What it is my intention to do during the consultation period is to be, I want the consultation to be high profile, I want people to be included, and I want people to feel a sense of ownership over that Island plan. This is the planning Bible for the next 15 years. It's going to affect all of us in some way, shape and form, and I want to make sure that Island residents feel very much part of it. So I look forward to bringing that to committee in July. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So that will go on the forward plan. Thank you. If we are moving on to item number 10 on the agenda, which is members' question time. Are there any questions? And none have been notified. Okay, so none there. So I have to say, what time is it? About 17th. Oh, sorry. This is because he's in my blind spot. Sorry, Councillor Stevens.
I'll forego my report. There were only 2 or 3 items on that I was going to bring forward, but they're ongoing anyway. I'm interested in the forward plan, and going back in time, we actually put more information on the forward plan that made it readable and understandable for our residents, our media and others. And I think that we should go back to that and start to put some more meat on the bone of the forward plan, so that people can get some sense of purpose and value of what those few words are with the timelines. That's all I've got to say, Leader, but I think that that's where we need to be.
Yeah, I would agree. Like on the national bus strategy, there's just that little paragraph, and I think that would be useful for the public to understand, all links on there so that they can find out more. Okay, it is now 17:33. You did well there, Councillor Stevens, a minute getting that out. So with no further questions, I call the first cabinet meeting to an end. Thank you. Thank you all very much.